Finally, welcome to spring. It's been a really crazy, difficult winter so far. We've had the wettest winter in like 70 some years here in Utah. Believe it or not, it is April 11th, and a week ago tonight, there was the last snowstorm of the year, and it dumped over 12 inches of snow here in my yard. Less than a week later, it's all gone. Today we actually hit the 80s for the first time. So it's melting fast. It's great because we need the water. I mean, I heard a report that up at Snowbird and Alta above us, which are ski resorts up there, there was the equivalent of 80 inches of water in the snow up there, waiting to come down in the snow melt. So that's great for us because we need all that water. The snow is our water supply. But it also means we've got flooding heading our way, so we'll have to see how that all pans out. Anyway, with all that snow, I haven't been able to get out into my bee yard very much. It snowed my gate shut. I couldn't open it. I couldn't hop over the fence. Coming around the other side, there's like a little hill, and I wasn't able to get up through the snow drifts in to see the bees until last week, late last week. I finally climbed over that fence when the snow was low enough. I was able to get in, and some good news and some bad news. The bad news is the second hive has completely died. Probably because I didn't control the mites as well as I should have. There may have been other reasons that I don't know yet. I haven't done a post-mortem on the hive yet. The good news is the first hive has survived, so I quickly threw some pollen patties in there just to give them that little bit of a boost. And now it's time to go out and start seeing what's really going on. I'm trying to get my brain around everything that I need to do here. Yeah, there's a lot to do. I mean, I've got to open up the live hive, see how they're doing as far as swarming goes, if they're getting ready to swarm. If they are, I need to take steps to mitigate that. If they are getting ready to swarm, the great thing is I have a second hive now that I can put both colonies in. So I got to look at that. I got to get it cleaned up. Probably have to put a new bottom board on. I'm going to take the solid bottom boards out, put in the screened bottom boards. See if they need some supplemental feeding. And then on the dead hive, I've got to just get that cleaned up so that I can use it all again and maybe see what went wrong. I also have, I bought a mite treatment, and depending upon how things are looking, if it looks like, I might put that in the live hive, just get that going right off the bat. Anywho, lots to do. Here we go. This is starting my third year of beekeeping. Because I learned last year my lesson, these first few inspections, I'm going to do them always with gloves because the bees seem to be fairly easily agitated in the spring. But let me show you what we got here. So this hive right here, this is the second hive. This is the dead one. This hive right here, this one's alive. You can see bees are going in and out. One of the things is they're only going in and out of the top because the bottom is all blocked up, the bottom entrance. So that's one thing I've got to take care of. My tripod's given up the ghost, so I'll just take videos as I feel they're interesting. Here's a peek at what I saw when I opened it up quickly last week. A lot of dead bees over here, but you've got the opening in the inner cover, and I can see down in there, and you see there are bees down in there. So I put these two pollen patties down. Looks like they've kind of shown some interest in them. I'm gonna just take those off, shake off all the dead bees, and start working through the hive. So far, I am not afraid that this hive is gonna swarm. I've actually gone through this entire upper body. And they've got about, these three frames here are still packed with honey. So they got a lot of sugar. They've been storing pollen in some of these other frames. This side of the box towards me, not much really at all is going on. They've got about 2 frames here, 2.5 frames that have some brood in various stages of development, but it's only about maybe 1/4 of each of those frames. So not really great brood pattern developed yet. And I didn't see any queen cups. So no indication so far in this box that a swarm is imminent. And there just don't seem to be a whole ton of bees. That's another indication that I don't think there's a swarm is imminent. But I haven't seen the queen, but she apparently is here because, like I said, we've got a few frames with at least a little bit of laying going on. I'm gonna put it back together and get into the bottom box and see how things are going there. There is no fear of a swarm here. This poor little colony is hanging on by the skin of its teeth. So I pulled out all the frames and you can just see the bottom is just filled with dead bees. So I gotta get this cleaned out, get them juiced up, do whatever I can to get them going again. They've got a lot of honey left, and they've got pollen. Looks like they do have a queen at least. So now it's just clean up and support them. Let me tell you what I did and what my take on things is. First off, it's really great that they survived, because that's not a healthy, strong colony. In fact, in some ways it feels like I'm back to square one. There's just not many bees. There was absolutely nothing going on in the bottom box except a lot of dying. No stores of any kind, no brood, no nothing. The few bees that are in there are very tightly clustered around those 2 or 3 frames where there's a little bit of laying going on, so they're definitely protecting the queen there. Thankfully they do have honey. No swarm cells, no queen cells of any kind, so I do not believe a swarm is likely this year. They've got a long ways to go before they're filling up that hive and needing to find a new place. So that's my job, is to help them fill up that hive now. Because there is no swarm likely, I put in a mite treatment. If you remember, that's putting in those gel matrix packets that are really caustic. Once again, I opened it up and accidentally got a whiff, and it just makes you cough right away. But I put that in, and hopefully that'll knock down any mite populations that are in there. And then I'm going to tomorrow put in some supplemental feed for them. I don't have time to do that right now, but I'll put in some syrup in a top feeder, and hopefully just start really building them up so that they can build up their colony again and get more robust. So that's where things stand. I haven't done anything with the dead colony because I just don't have time right now, and there isn't as much of a hurry to do that because this live colony isn't gonna swarm, and I'm not in any need of finding a place to split and put the second colony. So this year it looks like I'm back to 1 colony, trying to get them robust and healthy. It's now April 12th, so 1 day later, and I'm gonna go out and put some syrup in the hive to support those bees that seem to be struggling. So I just whipped up some syrup. It's the usual recipe: 1 pound water to 1 pound sugar. So a pint of water to a pound of sugar. Boiled the water, took it off the heat, then dumped all the sugar in, and I've let it cool down. I'm gonna go put it in my hive top feeder, which require an extra honey super or a medium-sized hive body. And then I've got the feeder over here. So this is the feeder that I will put into the hive, and just a quick peek inside of that. But so it looks like that. You open up, inside is this reservoir, and I'll put the whole thing on top of the interior cover inside the hive, and the bees will be able to come up through that hole out of the interior cover up into this little kind of volcano shaped thing, and then they can walk down the sides of the volcano shaped thing and lap up some syrup, which will be filling this whole area. And the reason I'm doing this is because I give them the syrup. It should stimulate brood production, so it should stimulate more babies being born. Kind of trick them into thinking, oh look, there's a big nectar flow, we got a lot of resources, and so we can have a lot more babies now. So that's what I'm hoping will happen. That's what I'm hoping will I'm hoping this works. So here we are. I've opened up, taken off the top cover. I am going to remove these pollen patties. I'll store them, use them later, because for now I want to get them nectar more so than pollen. So I'll just pick these up, put them over here. They're over there just on top of the dead hive. And now I will put this feeder just right on top. See if I can blow them off so that I don't squash any. Okay, there you go, girls. So see, so that that interior gap in the interior cover should be right over that hole. Okay, I'm gonna go get the I'll go get the syrup now. All right, I didn't film pouring in the sugar syrup, but there it is. The feeder is now full, and you can see they're already hopefully figuring it out and gonna start telling all the other girls, come and get this stuff. So I will just place the lid back on, as so, and then this is why I have this medium hive body. I will just place this over that just to give it some protection from the elements. And hopefully those girls will get out. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm gonna close this up. This is my final post-mortem on everything I've done for the surviving hive in the last 2 days. So went out there, found out that there was that hive that had survived, very few number of bees. They had 2-3 frames full of honey still. They had 2.5 frames that had some brood in there in various stages of development. So that indicates there's a queen, even though it's a very small colony. But when I went into the lower body of the hive, just full of dead bees, absolutely nothing happening on the frames in the bottom part of the hive. So I cleaned up the hive, got rid of all the dead bees, cleaned up the frames as best I could so that they'd be easier to work with. I put in a Formic Pro mite treatment. It's a 14-day treatment. And then I closed it up. That's what I did yesterday. Yesterday I also put in a screened bottom board to allow for more ventilation. Today I went out and put in a hive top feeder with some 1-to-1 syrup. And that's about all I can do right now. For 14 days now, I really can't open up the hive. I gotta let that Formic Pro do its job and not let it dissipate in any way. I'm gonna monitor the feed. add more syrup as needed, but they've got quite a bit in there now. And so I'm not going to open up that hive for another 2 weeks. But in 2 weeks I will open it up and see how things are doing. If they look to be improving, hopefully they are. So that's what I'm doing for the hive that survived. And now I guess I need to turn my attention to the dead hive, getting it cleaned up, and figuring out what, if anything, if I can figure out what happened.